Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaimudirayat. Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Om Agnanathimirandaschya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktarvrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 5, Verse 4. Ekada surarat putram mankam aropya pandava papracha khatyatham vatsa manyate sadhu yadbhavan. My dear King Yudhishthira, once upon a time the king of the demons, Hiranyakashipu, took his son Prahlad on his lap and very affectionately inquired, "My dear son, please let me know what you think is the best of all the subjects you have studied from your teachers." Hiranyakashipu did not ask his young son anything that would be very difficult for him to answer. Instead, he gave the boy a chance to speak plainly about whatever he thought might be best. Prahlada, of course, being a great devotee, knew everything and could say what the best part of life is. In the Vedas, it is said, Yasmin Vignate Sarvamevam Vignatam Bhavati. If one properly understands God, he can understand any subject matter very nicely. Sometimes we have to challenge big scientists and philosophers, but by the grace of Krishna, we emerge successful. It is impossible, practically speaking, for ordinary men to challenge scientists or philosophers concerning genuine knowledge. But a devotee can challenge them because the best of everything is known to a devotee by the grace of Krishna. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Tesham evanukampartham aham agnanajam tamaha nashayamyatma bhavasto gnanadipena bhasvata. Krishna, who is situated in the core of everyone's heart as the super soul, dissipates all the ignorance from the heart of a devotee. As a special favor, he enlightens the devotee with all knowledge by putting before him the torch of light. Prahlada therefore knew the best of knowledge, and when his father inquired from him, Prahlada gave him that knowledge. He was able to solve the most difficult parts of problems because of his advanced Krishna consciousness. So this is also very nice. We might not have experienced this, but Prabhupada is saying that can challenge them because the best of everything is known to a devotee by the grace of Krishna. So one way of understanding this is the basic philosophy we understand. So we can understand everything else in relationship with this. Second, maybe as by the grace of Krishna, Krishna will possibly make his pure devotees speak as appropriate, as required, even though they might not have all the required knowledge about a particular subject. So that is special mercy of the Lord. Yeah, and here also Prahlad was able to solve most difficult parts of problems because of his advanced Krishna consciousness. So which means that when one is advanced, very advanced in Krishna consciousness, everything comes under their ability to manage by Krishna's grace. So we might not all have experienced this right now. Shri Prahlada Uvacha Tatsadu Manya Suravarya Dehinam Sada Samudvigna Dhyama Sadgrihat Hitvatma Patam Granda Kupam Vanam Gato Yadharima Ashrayeta. Prahlad Maharaj replied, "O best of the Asuras, king of the demons, as far as I have learned from my spiritual master, Asuravarya, calls him Asuravarya, great, best of demons, king of demons. As far as I have learned from my spiritual master, any person who has accepted a temporary body, Devanam Sada Samudvigna Dhyam Asat Grahat. Asat Grahat, this is Asat Graha, this is a false house, body. So what happens because of this false house? Intelligence is always bewildered. So Sada Samudvigna, always full of anxiety. Temporary household life is certainly embarrassed by anxiety because hitvatma hitvatma patam griham andakupam. Griham, this household life is andakupam, dark well. So because of having fallen in a dark well where there's no water but only suffering, so people are embarrassed by anxiety all the time in household life. And this is temporary household life, please note. Household life is temporary, not permanent. One should give up his position. Vanam gato. And go to the forest, Vana. Do what? Which forest? So Prabhupada is saying more clearly one should go to Vrindavan. And what should they do? Harimashayeta, take shelter of the Supreme Person of Godhead. Very, very important verse. That sadhu, manye, sadhu means very good. It's considered very good. So telling him, Asuravarya, Dehinam samudvigna dhyam asadgrahat. So the people who have accepted this body, being in this temporary household life, is always full of anxiety. Why? Because hitva atma patam. Because they have given up the spiritual life, spiritual culture. Griham and the kupam. House is like a dark well without water. So, vanam gato. Give up that household life and go to the forest where and take shelter of Krishna. Hiranyakashipu thought that Prahlada, being nothing but a small boy with no actual experience, might reply with something pleasing but not practical, but nothing practical. Prahlad, however, being an exalted devotee, had acquired all the qualities of education. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavatya kinchana sarvair gunestatra samasate suraha rava bhaktasya kuto mahadguna manorathena sati dhavato bhavihi. So-called educated philosophers and scientists who are simply on the mental platform cannot distinguish between what is actually sat, eternal, and what is asat, temporary. The Vedic injunction is asato ma jyotirgama. Everyone should give up the asat, temporary existence, and approach jyotirgama, eternal platform. Soul is eternal, and topics concerning the eternal soul are actually knowledge. Elsewhere it is said, apashyatam atma tattvam griheshu grihamedinam. Those who are attached to the bodily conception of life and thus stick to life as a grihastha or householder on the platform of material sense enjoyment. So that's why it's called grihamedhi. Apashyatam atma tattvam. He cannot see the welfare of the eternal soul. Prahlada confirmed this by saying that if one wants success in life, he should immediately understand from the right sources what his self-interest is. Nataya vidut swartha gatim hi Vishnu. And how he should mold his life in spiritual consciousness. So this is very important. We have to mold our life. Mold our life. One should understand himself to be part and parcel of Krishna and thus completely take shelter of his lotus feet for guaranteed spiritual success. And this take shelter is also very important. We have to be under the shelter of his lotus feet. Then only we will be guaranteed spiritual success. Everyone in the material world is in the bodily conception, struggling hard for existence, life after life. Lada therefore recommended that to stop this material condition of repeated birth and death, one should go to the forest. In Varnashrama system, one first becomes a brahmachari, then grihastha, a vanaprastha. Vanaprastha means go to vana. And finally, sannyasi. Going to forest means accepting vanaprastha life, which is between grihastha and sannyasa, as confirmed Vishnu Purana, Varnashrama charavata purushena parapuman Vishnu dharadhyate. Accepting the institution of Varna and Ashrama, one can very easily elevate himself to the platform of worshipping Vishnu. Otherwise, if one remains in the bodily conception, one must rot within this material world and his life will be a failure. Bodily conception means just Grihastha life. Society must have divisions of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, and for spiritual advancement, one must gradually develop as a Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasi. Prahlad recommended that his father accept Vanaprastha life because as a Grihastha, he was becoming increasingly demoniac due to bodily attachment. Prahlada recommended to his father that accepting Vanaprastha would be better than going deeper and deeper into Grihamanda Kupam, our Krishna consciousness movement. We therefore invite all the elderly persons of the world to come to Vrindavan and stay there in retired life, making advancement in spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness. And so it is also important for all devotees, like we've been discussing on a continuous basis that we have to give up Grihastha accept Vanaprastha. Hmm. Hmm. Inarduvacha Shutva Putragiro Daitya Parapaksha Samahitaha Jahasa Buddhi Bala Balanam Vidyate Parabuddhibihi. When Prahlada spoke about, Nardamuni continued, when Prahlada spoke about the path of self-realization in devotional service, thus being faithful to the camp of his father's enemies, that is Vishnu, Hiranyakashipu heard Prahlad's words and he laughingly said, "This is the intelligence of children, spoiled by the words of the enemy." So, being a demon, he would always consider Lord Vishnu and his devotees to be his enemies, Hiranyakashipu. Therefore, the word Parapaksha, uh, the side of the enemy, is used here. Hiranyakashipu never agreed with the words of Vishnu or Krishna. Rather, he was angered by the intelligence of a Vaishnava. Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna says, Sarvadharman paritijya mamekam sharanam vrata. Give up all other duties and surrender unto me. But demons like Hiranyakashipu never do this. So please note, those who don't surrender to Krishna are demons like Hiranyakashipu. Therefore, Krishna says, Namam dushkritino moda prapadyante naradama maya paratagnana asuram bhavam ashritaha. The asura bhava, the atheistic nature, is directly represented by Hiranyakashipu. Such persons being Mudha and Naradhama, fools and rascals, lowest of men, would never accept Vishnu as the supreme and surrender to him. Hiranyakashipu naturally became increasingly angry that his son was being influenced by the camp of his enemies. He therefore asked that saintly persons like Narada not be allowed within the residential quarters of his son, for otherwise Prahlada would be further spoiled by Vaishnava instructions. Prabhupada used to say, most of our students' parents think like this, that their children are spoiled by Vaishnava instructions. We should also, all of us are influenced to different extents by, our parents, family, etc., preventing us from accepting Vaishnava instructions. So we should understand all of them are little small demons. But because, like Prahlada prayed for delivery of his father, we should also pray for delivery of these people who might be troubling us. Samyak vidharyatam balo gurukehe dvijathivihi Vishnu pakshay pratichannair na bhidyetasya dhiryatha. Hiranyakashipu advised his assistants, my dear demons, give complete protection to this boy at the Gurukula where he is instructed, so that his intelligence will not be further influenced by Vaishnavas who may go there in disguise. In our Krishna conscious movement, the tactic of dressing oneself like an ordinary karmi is necessary, because everyone in the demoniac kingdom is against the Vaishnava teachings. Krishna consciousness is not at all to the liking of the demons of the present age. As soon as they see a Vaishnava dressed in saffron garments with beads on his neck and tilak on his forehead, they're immediately irritated. They criticize the Vaishnavas by sarcastically saying Hare Krishna, and some people also chant Hare Krishna sincerely. In either case, since Hare Krishna is absolute, whether one chants it jokingly or sincerely, it will have its effect. The Vaishnavas are pleased when the demons chant Hare Krishna because this shows that the Hare Krishna movement is taking ground. The greater demons like Hiranyakashipu are always prepared to chastise the Vaishnavas. And they try to make arrangements so that the Vaishnavas will not come to sell their books and preach Krishna consciousness. So this is those days in US. Thus, what was done by Hiranyakashipu long ago is still being done. That is the way of materialistic life. Demons or materialists do not at all like the advancement of Krishna consciousness, and they try to hinder it in many ways. Yet the preachers of Krishna consciousness must go forward in their Vaishnava dress or any other dress for the purpose of preaching. Chanakya Pandit says that if an honest person deals with a great cheater, it is necessary for him to become a cheater also, not for purpose of cheating, but to make his preaching successful. So Prabhupada is saying, we can also dress like them, cheat them, if required, for to make our preaching successful. Like Prabhupada Saraswati says, glorify as, oh, you're such a great person, but you're a fool, like that. So first say you're such a great person, then he will say, yes, what can I do for you? Sir, but whatever you have studied is all useless. Give up all that nonsense and accept Krishna consciousness. That was Prabodhananda Saraswati's advice. Prabhupada used to quote that very often. Yeah, so whatever is required for preaching, we can do. Piramaneetamahuyya prahradam daityayajakah prashasya shlakšnaya vacha samprachanta samabhihi. When Hiranyakashipu's servants brought the boy, brought the boy to the Gurukula, the place where the Brahmanas taught the boys, the priests of the demons Shanda and Amarka pacified him. With very mild voices and affectionate words, they inquired from him as follows. Shanda and Amarka were eager to know from Prahlada who the Vaishnavas were that came to instruct him in Krishna consciousness. Their purpose was to discover the names of these Vaishnavas. In the beginning, they did not threaten the boy because when threatened, he might not identify the real culprits. So they very mildly and peacefully inquired as follows. वत्सप्रह्लादभद्रं ते सत्यं कथय मां मृषा बालान् अतिकुतस्तुभ्यं येष बुद्धिविपर्ययः. Dear son Prahlada, all peace and good fortune unto you. Kindly do not speak lies. Just reply with the truth. These boys you see are not like you, for they do not speak in a deviant way. How have you learned these instructions? How has your intelligence been spoiled in this way? Prahlada was still a boy, and therefore his teachers thought that if they pacified the little boy, he would immediately speak the truth, revealing the secret of how the Vaishnavas came there to teach him lessons in devotional service. It was surprising, of course. So this also looks like Vaishnavas were coming to teach him lessons in devotional service. It was surprising, of course, that in the same school the other boys of the Daityas were not polluted. Only Prahlada was supposedly polluted by the instructions of the Vaishnavas. The main duty of the teachers was to inquire who these Vaishnavas were that came to preach Prahlada and spoil his intelligence. Buddhiveda parakrita udaho te svato bhavat bhanyatam shrotu kamanam gurunam kulanandana. O best of your family, has this pollution of your intelligence been brought about by you or by the enemies? We are all your teachers and are very eager to hear about this. Please tell us the truth. So Prahlada's teachers were astonished that a small boy could speak such exalted Vaishnava philosophy. Therefore, they inquired about the Vaishnavas who stealthily taught it to him, in order that these Vaishnavas might be arrested and killed in the presence of Prahlada's father Hiranyakashipu. Prahlada Uvacha Parashvaschetya Sadgraha Pumsam Yanmaya Yakritaha Vimohitadhyam Drushtastasmai Bhagavate Namaha. Prahlada replied, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Person of Godhead, whose external energy has created the distinctions of my friend and my enemy by deluding the intelligence of men. Indeed, I am now actually experiencing this, although I previously heard of it from authoritative sources. So how this conception of friend and enemy he is experiencing. Stated in Bhagavad Gita, Vidya Vinay Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini Shuni Chaiva Shvapake Cha Pandita Samadarshinaha. The humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, cow, elephant, dog, and dog eater. Panditaha, those who are actually learned, equipoised, advanced devotees who have full knowledge of everything. These are Panditas, equipoised, advanced devotees. They do not see any living entity as an enemy or friend. Instead, with broader vision, they see that everyone is part of Krishna, as confirmed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jivera Swarupoi, Krishna Nityadas. Every living entity being part of the Supreme Lord is meant to serve the Lord, just as every part of the body is meant to serve the whole body. As servants of the Supreme Lord, all living entities are one, but a Vaishnava, because of his natural humility, addresses every other living entity as Prabhu. A Vaishnava sees other servants to be so advanced that he has much to learn from them. I mean, this is how we have to see. But we simply call others, as Prabhu and women as Mataji, but we don't actually mean it. But we have to mean it. So when we say Prabhu, we should learn from them. When we say Mataji, we have to really treat them, look at them as mothers. That is how we can make advancement. Thus he accepts all other devotees of the Lord as Prabhus, masters. Although everyone is a servant of the Lord, one Vaishnava servant, because of humility, sees another servant as his master. We have to see in this way, not simply calling Prabhu. Understanding of the master begins from understanding the spiritual master. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado, yasya prasadan nagati kutovapi. By the mercy of the spiritual master, one receives the benediction of Krishna. Without the grace of the spiritual master, one cannot make any advancement. साक्षात् धरित्वेन समस्त शास्त्रे रुक्तस्तथा भाव्यत एव सत्पि किन्तु प्रभुर्या प्रियव तस्य वंदे गुरो श्री चरणारविंदम. Spiritual master is to be honored sakshat haritvena as much as the Supreme Lord because he is the most confidential servitor. Samasta Shastra, all the Shastra says this. Priyeva tasya. Prabhorya priyeva, because he is the most confidential servitor. He is acknowledged in all revealed scriptures and followed by all authorities. Therefore, Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. Spiritual master, servant of God, is engaged in the most confidential service of the Lord, namely delivering all the confidential souls from the clutches of Maya. So this is the most confidential service. We should not think that confidential means something else. Delivering all conditioned souls is the most confidential service. This person, clutches of Maya, in which one thinks this person is my enemy, that one is my friend. Actually, the Supreme Lord is the friend of all living entities, and all living entities are eternal servants of the Lord. Oneness is possible through this understanding, not through artificially thinking that every one of us is God or equal to God. The true understanding is that God is the Supreme Master and that all of us are servants of the Supreme Lord and are therefore on the same platform. This had already been taught to Prahlada by his spiritual master Narada, but Prahlada was nonetheless surprised by how a bewildered soul thinks one person is enemy and another is friend. As long as one adheres to the philosophy of duality, duality means this heat, cold, friend, enemy, this is duality. And this duality happens only when we have material conception of life. When we see this world from material vision, then we find duality. Because on the spiritual platform, it's all one, it's all spirit. Thinking one person a friend and another an enemy, he should be understood to be in the clutches of Maya. The Mayavadi philosopher who thinks that all living entities are God and therefore one is also. And are therefore one is also mistaken. So Mayavadi thinks that everybody is God. That everybody is one. No one is equal to God. Servant cannot be equal to master. According to Vaishnava philosophy, master is one, servants are also one. But the distinction between the master and servant must continue even in the liberated stage. The conditioned state, we think that some living beings are our friends, whereas others are enemies, and thus we are in duality. In liberated state, however, the conception is that God is the master Krishna, and that all living beings, being servants of God, are one. And they are one, but they still have separate entities, existence. So this is achintya, bheda, abheda. They're all one, but yet different. And why did God create all of us? Raso Vaisaha, to experience bliss. So it is our constitutional position to serve Krishna because that is the reason why we were created. So we have to only remember this conception that there's one God and we are all servants. But still, out of humility, we should treat others as masters. स यदानुव्रतः पुंसान् पशुबुद्धिर्विभिद्यते Anya esha tathan yoham iti bhedagata sati. And the Supreme Person of Godhead is pleased with the living entity because of his devotional service. One becomes a pandita and does not make distinctions between enemies, friends, and himself. Intelligently, he then thinks every one of us is an eternal servant of God, and therefore we are not different from one another because we are all servants of God. And Prahlada's teachers and demoniac father asked him how his intelligence had been polluted. Prahlada said, as far as I am concerned, my intelligence has not been polluted. Rather, by the grace of my spiritual master and by the grace of my Lord Krishna, I have now learned that no one is my enemy and no one is my friend. We are all actually eternal servants of Krishna, but under the influence of external energy, we think that we are separately situated from the Supreme Lord as friends and enemies of one another. This mistaken idea has now been corrected, and therefore, unlike ordinary human beings, I no longer think that I am God and that others are my friends and enemies. Now I'm rightly thinking that everyone is a servant of the eternal servant of God, and that our duty is to serve the Supreme Master. For then we shall stand on the platform of oneness as servants. Demons think of everyone as a friend or enemy, but Vaishnavas say that since everyone is a servant of the Lord, everyone is on the same platform. Therefore, a Vaishnava treats other living entities neither as friends nor as enemies, but instead tries to spread Krishna consciousness, teaching everyone that we are all one as servants of the Supreme Lord, but are uselessly wasting our valuable lives by creating nations, communities, and other groups of friends and enemies. So this is what we have to teach, saying that we are all servants of Krishna. But we are uselessly creating different groups and wasting our time. Everyone should come to the platform of Krishna consciousness and thus feel oneness as a servant of the Lord. Although there are 84 lakh species of life, a Vaishnava feels this oneness. The Ishwama Upanishad advises Ekatvam Anupashyataha. Devotee should see the Supreme Lord to be situated in everyone's heart and should also see every living entity as an eternal servant of the Lord. This vision is called Ekatvam, oneness. Although there is a relationship of master and servant, both master and servant are one because of their spiritual identity. This is called Ekatvam. Thus, the conception of Ekatvam for the Vaishnava is different from that of the Mayavadi. Hiranyakashipu asked Prahlada now how he had become antagonistic to his family. When a family member is killed by an enemy, all the members of the family would naturally be inimical to the murderer. But Hiranyakashipu saw that Prahlada had become friendly with the murderer. Therefore, he asked, who has created this kind of intelligence in you? Have you developed this consciousness by yourself? Since you are a small boy, someone must have induced you to think this way. Prahlada wanted to reply that an attitude favorable toward Vishnu can develop only when the Lord is favorable. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is the friend of everyone. The Lord is never an enemy to any of the millions of living entities, but is always a friend. This is true understanding. If one thinks that the Lord is an enemy, his intelligence is Pashu Buddhi, animal intelligence. He falsely thinks, I am different from my enemy and my enemy is different from me. The enemy has done this and therefore my duty is to kill him. This misconception is described in this verse as Bheda Gatasa Gatasati. The actual fact is that everyone is a servant of the Lord as confirmed in Chaitanya Charitamrita by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As servants of the Lord, we are one and there can be no questions of enmity or friendship if one actually understands that every one of us is a servant of Lord. Where is the question of enemy or friend? Everyone should be friendly for the service of the Lord. This is another. So till now is for people outside. This also is for outside people and also for people within ISKCON. Everyone should praise another's service to the Lord and not be proud of his own service. This is the way of Vaishnava thinking. Vaikuntha thinking. There may be rivalries and apparent competition between servants in performing service. But in Vaikuntha planets, the service of another servant is appreciated, not condemned. So Prabhupada used to do this, book distribution, competition, rivalry, apparent competition. But it is appreciated. Oh, these devotees did better than us. So amazing. What can we learn from them? This is the mood. Not saying, they did like this, they did like that, so we couldn't do. Yeah, that is material thinking. But Vaikuntha competition means everybody is trying too hard to serve Krishna and everybody is trying to excel. Not with an intention of being better than somebody else, but just with an intention of being the best. That's all. Best service has to be given to Krishna. Whether I'm better than somebody else, it doesn't matter. If somebody else is doing better service that pleases Krishna more, then I would want to learn that. This is the mood. There is no question of enmity between servants. Everyone should be allowed to render service to the Lord to the best of his ability, and everyone should appreciate the service of others. Such are the activities of Vaikuntha. Since everyone is a servant, everyone is on the same platform and is allowed to serve the Lord according to his ability. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Sarvasya Chaham Hridi Sannivishto Matta Smritir Gnanam Apohanam Cha. The Lord is situated in everyone's heart, giving dictation according to the attitude of the servant. However, the Lord gives different dictation to the non-devotees and devotees. Non-devotees challenge the authority of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, the Lord dictates in such a way that non-devotees forget the Lord's service life after life and are punished by the laws of nature. But when a devotee very sincerely wants to render service to the Lord, Lord dictates in a different way. Tesham satatayuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhiyogam tam mena mamupayanti. Te, important word here is pritipurvakam, full of love. And satatayuktanam, constantly devoted, constantly engaged. Then dadami buddhiyogam tam. What kind of buddhi? Yena mamupayanti te, by which they will achieve me. So this is given to those who are constantly devoted and are worshipping with love. For non-devotees, they just given intelligence based on their desire. It's not that the Lord is being partial. They want to forget Krishna, so they'll get the intelligence to forget Krishna, and then life after life, and are punished because they are acting on the wrong platform. They'll get punished. But for the devotee who sincerely wants to render service to the Lord, Lord will give the intelligence. Everyone is actually a servant, not an enemy or friend, and everyone is working under different directions from the Lord, who directs each living entity according to his mentality, his desire, his actions, like that. The Lord is not partial. And he's saying, for those who are uh, atheistic, he'll throw them to lower species. But those who are devotees, he will pull them up. So it does depends on the mentality of the jiva. Nothing to do with partiality on the part of the Supreme Lord. So we have to come slowly to this platform of Priti Purvakam. Initially, we might be doing just because somebody else is telling us, somebody is pestering us. Yeah, because they're saying this is good for you. Oh, okay, good for me, so I will do. But then, as we practice Vaidhi Bhakti, slowly, steadily, we should start developing this attachment, love for Krishna, and doing things for his pleasure. Then we are making advancement. Reshatmasvapayeti buddhivirduratyayanukramaणो niropyate muhyanti yadvartmani vedavadino brahmadayo yesha bhinnati mematim. Persons who always think in terms of enemy and friend are unable to ascertain the super soul within themselves. Not to speak of them, even such exalted persons as Lord Brahma, who are fully conversant with Vedic literature, are sometimes bewildered in following the principles of devotional service. The same Supreme Lord who has created this situation has certainly given me the intelligence to take the side of your so-called enemy very boldly. Saying Supreme Lord has created this situation, first thing, and also he has given me the intelligence to take the side of your enemy, so-called enemy. Prahlada admitted frankly, my dear teachers, you wrongly think that Lord Vishnu is your enemy, but because he is favorable toward me, I understand that he is the friend of everyone. You may think that I have taken the side of your enemy, but actually he has bestowed a great favor upon me. Yeah. So, and this is Brahma Vimona Lila. So, he also sometimes gets bewildered. But the same Supreme Lord has created this situation and has given me the intelligence to take the side. So, for those who are completely surrendered to Krishna, every situation is just the desire will of the Supreme Lord. So we have to wholeheartedly accept it and not crib about it. Uh, so it's very, very important. I'm talking to myself because Krishna has given me a service which is not natural to me, which is to raise funds. But yeah, he has created the situation. He will also give the intelligence. So just stick to the lotus feet of the Lord, and whatever be the nature of service, whether it is in line with our nature or not, Krishna will show the mercy. So we have to just patiently just follow, go on trying. Yatha भ्राम्यत्ययो ब्रह्मन् स्वयम् आकर्ष सन्निधौ तथा मे विद्यते चेतश्चक्रपाणेर्यथृच्छया. O Brahmanas, as iron attracted by magnetic stone moves automatically toward the magnet, such a beautiful example. My consciousness, having been changed by his will, is attracted by Lord Vishnu, who carries a disc in his hand. Thus, I have no independence. And what kind of attraction? Like iron attracted to magnet. How natural that attraction is, and nobody can stop. Like naturally, the iron will go and get stuck to the magnet. So, Prahlada's consciousness is naturally attracted to Lord Vishnu. So, I have no independence, he's saying. So, we have to give up this independence, our independent will of desiring, wanting to do things, thinking, feeling, willing, everything we have to give up. And it has to be, everything has to be in line with Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, and for the pleasure of the Lord. For iron to be attracted by magnet is natural. Similarly, for all living entities to be attracted towards Krishna is natural. And therefore, the Lord's real name is Krishna, meaning he who attracts everyone and everything. Typical examples of such attraction are found in Vrindavan, where everything and everyone is attracted by Krishna. Everything is also attracted by Krishna, by only everyone. Elderly persons like Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Devi, the friends like Sri Dama, Sudama, and the cowherd boys, gopis like Srimati Radharani and her associates, and even the birds, bees, cows, and calves are attracted. Flowers and fruits in the gardens are attracted. Waves of the Yamuna are attracted, and the land, sky, trees, plants, animals, and all other living beings are attracted by Krishna. This is natural situation of everything in Vrindavan. In fact, by Krishna's flute, living beings become stunned, non-living beings start to move. So it's all topsy-turvy. It's crazy. Because everybody is conscious. Everything is conscious. Everything has taken that, everything or everyone has taken that form because that is how they want to serve Krishna, and they are fully conscious about that. And they are attracted to Krishna. As much as even beautiful birds which wake up Radha and Krishna in the morning and glorify with such amazing verses, they glorify them. All of them are attracted by love to Krishna and Radha. Just contrary to the affairs of Vrindavan is the material world, where no one is attracted by Krishna and everyone is attracted by Maya. This is the difference between spiritual and material world. So simple, we can understand how much we are attracted by Maya, that much we are in the material world. How much we are attracted by Krishna, that much we are in the spiritual world. Hiranyakashipu was in the material world as attracted by women and money, whereas Prahlada, being in his natural position, was attracted by Krishna. In replying to Hiranyakashipu's question about why Prahlada had a deviant view, Prahlada said that his view was not deviant, for the natural position of everyone is to be attracted by Krishna. Hiranyakashipu found this view deviant. Prahlada said, because of being unnaturally unattracted by Krishna, Hiranyakashipu therefore needed purification. As soon as one is purified of material contamination, is again attracted by Krishna. So if we are not purified of material contamination, we are not attracted by Krishna. In the material world, everyone is contaminated by the dirt of sense gratification and is acting according to different designations, upadhi. Sometimes as a human being, beast, demigod, tree, and so on. One must be cleansed of all these designations, sarvopadi vinirmuktam. Then one will be naturally attracted to Krishna. The bhakti process purifies the living entity of all unnatural attractions. So this is about our position in this material world. Maybe his father, mother, daughter, son, boss, some person who's achieved something, some person who's not achieved anything, whatever it is. It's all upadhis. The bhakti process purifies the living entity of all unnatural attractions. These are all unnatural. Getting attracted to upadhi and things related to that position. When one is purified, he is attracted by Krishna and begins to serve Krishna instead of serving Maya. So we can just remember this. So if we are not attracted by Krishna, we are not purified enough. So we are still serving Maya. So we have to become more purified. And all the activities of devotional service purify us, including honoring prasadam. But we have to be conscious about it. A devotee is attracted by Krishna, whereas a non-devotee, being contaminated by the dirt of material enjoyment, is not. And for us, sometimes we are attracted by Krishna, sometimes we are not. That means again there are some impurities, anarthas. येषां त्वन्तगतं पापं जनानां पुण्यकर्मणां ते द्वन्द्वमोहनिर्मुक्ता भजन्ते मां दृढव्रताः. Antagatam papam. Punya karmanam. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life. They've acted piously in previous life and in this life. And Antagatam papam. Sinful actions are stopped, meaning they're not engaged in any sinful activities and they're living a pious life. They lived a pious life in previous lives also, and this life also they're living piously, and they're not doing any sinful activities. Te dvandva moha nirmukta. They were freed from the duality. Bhajante mam dhradaprataha. So if somebody has to serve Krishna with determination, then they should be living pious life and should be free from delusion. Otherwise, we will engage ourselves in service, but not with determination. So service is at 8 o'clock, we go at 8:15 because we don't have determination. This is doing service with determination, sticking to schedule, whatever is given to us, doing it with full heart. So at which we should be living piously in body, mind, and words. And also we should be free from this bodily conception. One must be freed from all sinful dirt of material existence. Everyone in this material world is contaminated by material desire. Unless one is free from all material desires, anya abhilashita shunyam, one cannot be attracted by Krishna. So the whole point here is that we should get attracted by Krishna. Yena kena prakarena, somehow or the other we have to get attracted. We've been discussing this, right? So, but that attraction can only be awakened only if we are repeatedly hearing about Krishna and such amazing qualities, such, inconceivable beauty of Krishna. His pastimes, the way he deals with his devotees is so amazing. When we hear these things about how Krishna deals with his devotees, then, we naturally get attracted towards Krishna. Like, why only devotees? Even enemies he treats so nicely. Putana. So we should get attracted by Krishna. Krishna's form, qualities, pastimes, everything is meant to attract us. That's the only reason why Krishna comes to this material world, to do pastimes. And hence we need to read Krishna book again and again and do Bhagavatam from canto 1 to 9 and then 10, then 11, 12, finish 11, 12, then again do from beginning and then parallelly do 10th canto again and again and again. And then by Krishna's mercy, not by our effort. By our effort, maybe we might attract Krishna's attention. So we have to get attracted by Krishna. Okay, I'm just pausing here 1 second. Somebody's at the door. 1 second. Yeah, Hare Krishna. Okay. Yeah, so we can stop here. So basically, I was just saying that we have to get attracted by Krishna somehow. Okay. I'll stop here. Any thoughts, questions, comments? Okay, no comments. I will close here. श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की जय। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यः च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। कोटि वैष्णव की जय, समेत गौर की जय। हरे कृष्ण।